I didn't notice the red light at first. It was barely visible, just a faint pinprick in the shadows above my uncle's bookcase, pulsing every few seconds. My hands were already shaking, not from fear, not yet, but from the heat of the argument we'd just had. I stepped closer. The thing was small, black, tucked into the corner like it belonged there. But it didn't. I reached up, pulled it free. My thumb brushed the lens. A camera. I glanced over my shoulder toward the hallway. The house was silent, but I could hear his boots on the porch, moving closer. I didn't have time to think. I turned it toward myself. And that's when I saw the reflection in the lens. Someone standing right behind me. 2 weeks earlier, I wouldn't have even been in this house. I'd been living in my car for 3 days after the foreclosure. Not because I couldn't call someone for help, I could, but because I didn't want to. I wasn't interested in the pity that came with couch offers and spare rooms. My uncle Mark found me anyway. He pulled up next to me in the grocery store parking lot, his old F-150 idling like it was still 1997. "Jesus, Daniel," he said. "What the hell are you doing here?" I told him it wasn't his problem. He told me to shut up and get in the truck. That was the thing about Mark. He was loud, blunt, and seemed to get involved in your life, whether you asked him to or not. He'd been my dad's younger brother, the black sheep who stayed in town when everyone else left. When I moved into his spare room, I didn't ask questions, but I noticed things. 3 nights in, I came home late from a shift at the gas station. His office door was open, and there were papers spread across the desk. I shouldn't have looked, but my eyes caught my mother's name. The documents were property deeds to the small cabin my parents left me when they died, the one I hadn't been to in years. And there was a signed transfer agreement. My signature, only it wasn't mine. I left the papers where they were and told myself there had to be a reason. The shed behind his house had always been locked. One afternoon, while he was gone, I found the key in the kitchen junk drawer. Inside, I expected tools, maybe old paint cans. What I found were crates, the heavy kind you move with a dolly, filled with electronics, cameras, laptops, routers, all still in their boxes. Every serial number had the sticker scratched off. I shut the door before I heard his truck on the gravel. 2 days later, his neighbor Lisa caught me in the driveway. She was nervous, glancing at his house like it might bite her. "You're staying with Mark?" she asked. "Yeah," I replied shortly. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Watch yourself. He's not who you think." When I pressed, she just shook her head and went inside. I started watching him more closely. Mark would leave for meetings in the middle of the night. He always took his phone with him, but he never answered calls when he was out. Sometimes, when he came back, he'd be in a different shirt than when he left. The papers about the cabin kept gnawing at me. I didn't know why he wanted it. It was remote, needed work, and I'd never thought of it as valuable. But if he was forging signatures to get it, there had to be more to it. I decided to search his office properly. That's when I found the first camera. It was hidden in the corner, aimed at the desk, a small black box, wired to a hard drive under the table. The footage was worse than I could have imagined, not because of what I saw, but because of what I didn't. It wasn't his office the camera usually recorded. It was other rooms. My room. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I started collecting my own evidence. I checked every room for hidden devices. I found 3 more, 2 in the hall, 1 in the bathroom, all wired to a locked server cabinet in his shed. I kept the discovery to myself, but inside, I felt something shift. I wasn't just the nephew who owed him for a place to stay anymore. I was a man with information, and the patience to use it. I started making copies of everything I found. Photos of the forged deed. Serial numbers from the electronics in the shed. Snapshots of the camera feeds showing me sleeping in my own bed. I didn't know exactly what I'd do with it yet, but I knew the day was coming. The day came faster than I expected. Mark had been gone all afternoon, and I'd just finished disconnecting one of the cameras when I heard his truck on the drive. I still had the thing in my hand when the front door swung open. "What the hell is that?" he asked. I held it up. "You tell me." His eyes narrowed. "That's mine. Give it here." "No," I said. That word landed heavier than I thought it would. He stepped toward me, slow but deliberate. "You don't want to start something you can't finish, Danny. Neither do you." That's when I tilted the lens toward myself, and his reflection came into view behind me. I didn't swing. I didn't shout. I just pressed the button on my phone. The sound of the recording started playing from my pocket. His voice, clear and sharp, talking to someone about moving the property before the kid finds out. The kid, being me. His face changed. The anger faded into something else. Calculation. "What do you want?" he asked. "Here's the deal," I said. "You transfer the cabin back into my name. You hand over every camera, every piece of gear in that shed, and you write a statement saying exactly what you've been doing with it. Or Lisa and the cops get the full show." I held up the phone. We stared at each other for a long second. Then he smiled, the kind that didn't reach his eyes. "You think you're clever," he said. "I know I am," I replied with a smile. By the end of the week, the cabin was mine again. The shed was empty. The statement signed, I handed everything over to the police, and they took it from there. Mark was arrested on charges ranging from unlawful surveillance to fraud. I figured I'd never see him again. But 3 months later, I got a call from the sheriff's office. Mark wanted to see me. Against my better judgment, I went. He looked thinner, meaner, but there was something in his eyes I hadn't seen before. Respect. You got me good, he said, but now we've got a problem. The people I was working with, they think you have the rest of the files. They'll come looking. I don't, I said. Doesn't matter. They believe you do. And trust me, you're better off with me than against me. For a moment, I thought about walking out, but the truth was, I believed him. 2 weeks later, I picked him up after his bail hearing. Enemy had become ally, not by choice, but by necessity. Some battles you win, others you survive.